Alright everybody, welcome back on video number 2 for the Corvette 383 motor install. We got the old motor out, we got the heads off of it, we got the oil pan off of it, we got the timing chain cover off of it. All those things have been repainted, did that off camera. We got the block sitting over here. The only thing we've done to the block, I did put brass freeze out plugs in it. It came with a steel plug. Really was sort of disappointed to see that. I wish I would have used a brass. I suggest anybody doing this, doing an engine or changing out their freeze plug, always go with brass. The brass do not rust out, so you won't have any leaks down the road. Once you have them in there, they're pretty much good for forever. I was able to look over the heads, and I didn't see any issues with the heads. All of our valve seats look good. All of our valves look good. Nothing's burned up. The engine was running extremely rich, as we can see right there. But I think everything's okay with our heads. I do have a blueprint head with the part number right there, if you're curious. Yeah, right there. But I was really happy to see nothing was wrong with them. They're not cracked. They don't have any issues. They're about 2 years old, so they should be okay to bolt right back on. I will show you guys later on in this video series what I exactly found with the old motor. It did have some issues. But what we're going to focus on right now is getting our cam installed. I went with a Howard's cam. It is a roller cam, so we're getting away from the flat tappet. Nice little rollers right there. This is a nice setup, really. For the price, if anybody has looked into getting a roller cam, they are very expensive. Where you can typically get a flat tappet cam set for about 350 bucks with the lifters and everything. This kit was right at, I think, $701. It is pricey, but pricing other cam kits like a comp cams or something of that nature, those are actually around $800-900. Here's the specs on it. Let's see right here, just in case anybody's curious if you can see that. Probably sort of hard to see through the plastic, but there are specs right there. And that's if you're green a cam, which I will not be doing. I'm just going to install it straight up. But everything's really nice. It's a really nice cam set. The lifters are really nice quality. Everything around here, around the top here, is all solid. You will find some where it just, I don't know if I can show you guys easily, but you'll see where it's cut here, and then this is all open, leaving this only to be your support. So I was really happy that these are, you know, one full piece, especially all around up at the top here. So we're going to work on getting this installed though. Got my gloves out, got my assembly lube out, so we're going to work on getting the cam in as the first step of getting everything back together. So all right, let's do it. Alright guys, so this is what you want your cam to look like. You cannot use too much assembly lube. So we got everything all lubed up. We're going to get this thing installed. Alright guys, so we're going to get the cam installed. You want to work really slow, filling each one of your bearings. You don't want to hurry this up. It is possible to knock out your cam bearings, but you're going to fill each one. When this goes here, you're going into the other one. So you just want to take it real nice and slow, getting it all installed. You don't want to nick any of your bearings. Then getting that last one in is the big pain. Alright, and the cam is in, guys. I'm going to rotate it around a little bit, get enough of that assembly lube on all of the bearing surfaces. And then I did install a bolt in the end of it to give me a little bit of leverage while I was putting it in. So now we're moving on to lifters. Alright everybody, so we've got our heads on the motor. As we can see, we've got our cam installed. I went ahead, I think I jumped the gun by putting the lifters in. I still need to flip the motor over to do the bottom end work, putting the oil pump screen on the oil pan. So I took the lifters back out because they are sliding out of the bores when I flip it over. But we need to get the heads torqued down now. We got them all installed. We got all of our nuts on all of the studs. But what you want to do, I want to go over real quick, is you want to do a torque sequence on your heads. So I made up this little diagram here. You're going to have 1, I think through 16, 17 steps. Yeah, we got 17 bolts. So you want to torque it in this sequence. You're going to go 1, 2, 3, you're going to go 4, 5, and so on and so forth. And then we're going to do them in 3 pound settings. So we're going to do first a 25, then a 45, and then our final torque is going to be a 65. So what I'll do is I'll bounce from head to head, put in the 3 torque settings, and then we're going to have the heads torqued down, flip the engine over, get to putting on the oil pan, get to putting on the timing chain cover. So yeah, let's get into it. Alright guys, so we went to put on our timing assembly and we ran into some issues that I want to go over with everybody when we put on our timing chain. With a roller cam, it's very crucial. You want to measure your camshaft in play. So I got my dial indicator set up right here, if we can see that. It's not zeroed out right now, but we'll zero it out when I go to measure. There we go, we're zeroed out right now, and the cam's all the way back. Alright, but what you want to do is you want to make sure you set up your in play. The specs for this cam is 500ths to 1000ths of in play. And what I ran into is my old timing cover did not work because of that right there. Because of how the timing cover has this indentation that comes in. When I bolted everything up, well, when I went to bolt everything up, it wouldn't even bolt up to the block. So I did have to get a different style timing cover that's reinforced, but I had to grind out a little bit of that reinforcement and take a little bit off my camshaft button. You got shims you can put, I guess, behind the button, but this had no shims in it. It was all the way to the cam, and I still had no clearance. But we're gonna get everything bolted up The clearance is good now. I'm going to have to use a double gasket on it to get the proper clearance, but we're going to bolt everything up, and then I'm going to show you guys how to measure that in play on with the dial indicator there. All right, so we got our cover on. Everything's all bolted up. What you want to do is you want to set your dial indicator to 0. So we can see right there, it's at 0. For some reason, it's going to read backwards, so we want to get it to 4500ths right here, or 45 thousandths. Anyways, you want it at 45 thousandths. What you're going to do is you're going to put the needle of your dial indicator through your block. I don't know if we can pick that up, but you're going to go through your block where the oil port is, and you're going to hit the back of your timing gear, and that's going to let your gauge here read your movement on your cam. But what you'll do is you'll carefully get one of your lobes, and you just want to get on the flat side of it, on the back side of it, not on the lobe itself. And you see right there, we're at 0. Oh, no, we're not at 0. Hold on a second. Let's dial that back in. It's sort of tricky trying to get to the cam. There we go. So there's your movement right there. There's your movement you want right there. We'll go back to 0. And right there's your 5 thousandths. That's what you want to do. You just want to grab the lobe. You just want to be careful you do not scratch the lobe. And you want to make sure you have the proper end play on these. When you do it, you also want to make sure you do not have your timing chain installed. So do it without the timing chain, and then yeah, just measure it right through one of the lifter bores. I'm just using an Allen key. But we're going to get the cover back off. We're going to get the timing chain put on, get everything timed up, and then we're going to flip the motor on and start working on everything we need to install to put the oil pan on. Alright, so we got the timing cover put on, everything's all bolted up, we got our timing tab installed. Now we got the engine flipped over, we're going to get the oil pan installed. But what I want to do is I'm going to put a little tack welds, a couple little tack welds on the pickup screen here. Since we found it out of the pump on my old motor, it's fitting in there pretty tight, but one of the things you can do is you can put a couple welds on there just to ensure that it does not come loose. So we're going to get that tacked on, then we're going to move on to putting on our gasket and getting the oil pump installed and everything buttoned up on the bottom end of the motor. Alright guys, so we're about to bolt the oil pan on. I do want to go over one thing that I did have to do. So if anybody does this build, and let me show you real quick, especially if you use the one-piece rubber gasket, which I'm using for my oil pan, you're going to have to notch out, and let me show you where your notches are in your block for your 383. Right there, if you see how it's curved right there, that's notched out to allow rotation for your pistons and your rods because of the stroker kit. But what I did have to do is I also had to notch out the oil pan gasket. So you can probably see right there. It's not going to hurt anything. It's still going to seal up. But I didn't want to have any chance of any of the rotating assembly hitting the gasket. So what I did is I just took it over here to my bench grinder. I just grinded it, marked out the spots that needed needed trimmed, like right here where it's hitting the back of the crank. Right there, it's real close. Probably see that, but it was actually touching when I first put the gasket on. So I just want to go over that. But what we're going to do is we're going to put this on. We're going to seal it up. I'm going to put a little sealant on the ends, especially here in the corners. You want to pay particular attention there. I'm not going to use any sealer on the sides. We should be fine, but I am going to put a little RTV on the fronts and the backs of the timing chain cover, and then the end cap here for the crank. So we're going to get this all bolted in. We do have the housing, the pickup screen housing for the oil pump. We got that tacked on. It's not going anywhere. It's on there really good, so I shouldn't have any problems with that coming off on this motor, thank goodness. But yeah, we're going to get everything bolted up. We're going to get the bottom end of the motor all wrapped up. So we got the oil pan on the motor, and actually we got a few more things done. It's actually been about 2 weeks since I put the oil pan on. The main reason we're coming back 2 weeks later is because I had to order my new push rods. The push rods I ended up going with were I think they're a comp cam. They're a comp cam. That's the part number right there. That may or may not be what you guys need if you decide to use the same cam setup. But they're 5/16 Magnum, and they're a 7.150 measurement. They are a tad bit shorter than the ones I originally had, because the lifters are a tad bit higher with the retro roller setup than what I had. So that was sort of a pain in the butt. I'm sorry I didn't video that. There's a lot of videos out there on how to set up your proper rocker arm geometry, how to set up and measure for your push rods. I did have to use a dial caliper to do that, but we got everything put in there. We got the rocker arms adjusted. You just want to bring them up to 0 lash, which is where you have no movement in between the rocker arm and the lifter. And then I gave him a half turn past that, but we got all that stuff installed, everything set up. I got some oil in the motor. I did prime the motor, but I'm going to prime it again once I get it in the car, so everybody will be able to see that. We got our harmonic balancer installed, our pulley. We got our timing indicator installed, one with a new indicator. Also got a different cover for my harmonic balancer so I could see all my numbers when I go to time this motor. But we're going to go ahead. We're going to get this motor installed, and I am going to do that in video number 3 for this series. We're going to get the motor installed back in the engine bay. We're going to get the intake manifold put on, the valve covers, everything bolted up, starter, fuel pump, all the goodies, everything it needs. We're going to get it all back here in the engine bay. I did spray up some of the frame. Got a new coat of paint on there, so everything's nice and fresh. But yeah, we're going to work on getting the engine back in it, and I am going to see you guys after the motor is installed. So I'm going to go ahead and do that off camera because I don't think it's going to be that much fun. It's a little tight getting it out. With the 200 4R in there, it's a little bit tighter. Like I had to take the one motor mount off on the passenger side. I was able to leave the driver's side on, so I put that back on. But yeah, I don't think it's going to be very much fun. So I'm going to do that off camera, and I will see you guys on the 3rd video as soon as it's sitting in the engine bay. So hope everybody liked this video. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment, and I will see you guys in video 3.